So we learn a lot. Our light is very, we don't know how to work the camera light, but it's our first time for YouTube live, and for this phone that we have, it's not very expensive. And we just do the way that we do it. Yeah. Another thing that we want to teach ourselves, can we say it like that? Is that when we say nutrients, we don't talk about nutrients. And we talk about what you feed your body is what we have today. Nutrients is everything in it. Some people say, but the human body says, in the human brain says so much nutrients, so much of this. Nutrients is everything that goes into the human brain that affects the human body. And Ribea is a very firm educator. I'm sorry to say that, but it's the truth. I'm very firm with education, and I don't like people to play with me about nothing in this world. Because the human brain really responds to everything, and the immune system responds to everything, and the nutrients in that is everything. It's what we talk about, it's what we experience, it's what we are challenged with, it's what you do, it's what you don't do, you know. All of that is the nutrients that we feed the body. Yeah. So let us not, we're gonna have a lemon just now, orange, right? You use the Nachi. Is it Nachi what? I don't talk Nachi language. Uh I don't talk lemon. Someone said in Christmas with a view. Christmas with a view is a very interesting film that America has written about the really. Christmas with a view is an interesting film. And in Christmas with a view, this America says to the daughter, and the mother says to the daughter, who's now Ribea, Elise's mother, Mama Anna is was now not there anymore. Now another mother is was now Ribea, Elise's mother. And that mother says must now to Ribea, Elise must now having a friend, right? And Madeleine Smith must now came for Christmas table by Ribea Elise. Madeleine Smith and Mama Anna had a really disrespectful discussion, and she was very disrespectful to Mama Anna. But she has a child must now with a family line of us. And she really apologized for it. And then she came this Christmas must now to our house, and America King must write a story about it. South Africa now share the videos because the world are required to know if their family members are now in danger in South Africa and what was the situation was now about. And then there was no share information because Ribea Elise, if she's the appropriate in South Africa, then there's other people that must now intervene and investigate why did the situation happen and what happened to Mama Anna, because this is what the world googled in and the world saw this fight. And while Ribea was working at the bar and the person was pulling Mama Anna, and it was a very disrespectful fight. And then they wrote a film about it. And then the Leon Smith must now came this Christmas must now to sit on the Christmas table about it. And then in the universe, that Mama Anna, if Ribea's mama is must now not there anymore. And that mama must now looks like Ribea Elise, who's now the Leon Smith. And in the universe, that wants to be Ribea Elise's mother. And because Ribea Elise's mother is Mama Anna Philander. And they wrote the film and they said, but look at how this universal mother now looks at the daughter Ribea Elise, because in the universe it looks exactly sometimes also like Ribea Elise. And they write most now a film about who looks like who in this world. And they say, but look at how she looks at you and be attentive to what happened that day, so that when women are abused in the world and challenged, then it's also sometimes all of these eyes that are upon us on this earth as human beings, and that form so much part of us, and that is so much part of the universe. It is God itself, but the disrespectfulness of human beings sometimes causes a whole lot of things that happens around women. And they then wrote about the next door Clarike neighbor, right? And how Clarike is now Ribea Elise in this whole South Africa story. And Ribea Elise's house has electricity is off in South Africa. And Clarike is now the daughter of that mama who now is having inside discussions about Ribea Elise, but is actually now pretending to be the universe mama that now looks like Ribea, that is maybe universal sisters, because we are still learning about all of these things in the world. And then they say, write the film to just make us aware, to be listening to what is happening around us in the world, and listening whose eyes are on us and listening to not what people say about us, but because the explanation is different, and it comes the Mitchell's plainness about it. I mean, universe has written a whole lot of stuff in the world for us so that we can learn from what the universe is saying to mankind, and it's teaching us about our babies. When a baby Ribea grew up, there was a Serbia country also. And the auntie said, give Ribea's name Ribea, and the other auntie's name was Ribea also. And the whole journey goes around the Bible that talks about the rib that was the most important function that was very educative to women, and that's now representing Ribea Elise, because God actually even manages and walks the journey with education with the name Ribea. What does the name Ribea means to the world in general? The woman that comes from the spine, from the rib, we call in Afrikaans it's a rib, and the woman that represents woman, and that should be a representative, and how aggressive we can sometimes be in the world. And the Bible educates us exactly that. My name was given a Ribea. And the country's name is Serbia. And the Muslim woman's name is Rabia. And I had a Muslim little boy when I was young, and his name was Yahia. And Mama Universe educates on the journey of the name Ribea. What does it mean to Mama Universe? The name Rabia, the Muslim daughter, the Christian daughter, Ribea. Mama Anna's Christianity, the Muslim education in the world, and how it's one person, one requirement, one reaction, and how Mama Universe colors the world in all of the amazing different colors. And when you look at the world and you look at some of Ribea's photos and see what sometimes they say the photos are edited. They say maybe Mama Lisa's photos were edited sometimes. When you even say it does not matter. Sometimes someone in the world really in person looks like Rabia, sometimes with a long hair, looks sometimes like Ribea with a short hair. And that's from Mama Anna, that's darker skin color. And Mama Universe even explains that to the world also. Mama Universe even sometimes educates us that when Rabia is Rabia and Rabia is Rabia, and the world argues about church, then Rabia can sometimes explain Rabia's upbringing and where Rabia grew up at, and what Rabia experienced, because the sisters, the Leon Smith sometimes looks like a Mama Rabia, but that is younger, that is a young daughter. She intermarries into our family, and she maybe did not mean to be a grace to Mama Anna, because she really probably didn't mean to be a grace. And then she was actually graced, and the grace was revealed that in the universe there can maybe sometimes be arguments like that happening, and Mama Universe educated Ribea about it, and that the world can sometimes be like that also, because of lots of different reasons, different religions, different household upbringings. That's tasting nice. The wheat bix are nice with milk. Not a lot of milk in my tea today. I'm gonna have tea, no milk in my tea. A good glass of water would be very good for me, and a relaxing film. Maybe laying down and relaxing for the day. How does the cup say? As the cup say, treat yourself. Mm. You like that? Looks nice. Treat yourself. This is a nice cup. Ooh, there the hotness comes out again. And when the hotness comes out, we're always for a sun corner in the house. But we don't have a proper camera light yet for our corner. Mm. Because we really appreciate our camera light. But our camera corner needs the big light, right? That everyone sells. And I really haven't gone to check yet where I can get it. Say you can buy it on a whole lot of apps. AliExpress also maybe has it. But you don't want to order something and then it gets here and then it's something totally different. So it's rather good to go and check in Kmart. Yes, to go and check in Kmart. Someone says to go and buy something at Walmart for me. To go and check in Kmart, to go and check and maybe at the $2 store, because this $2 store in New Zealand has got a whole lot of stuff. And they have big lights and things that they can sometimes sell for cheap. So I really want to go and check for that light. Our mentorship programs, we're going to prepare a podcast, a live podcast. But we really just want to first check what we have to do. To do that. They say you can do podcast on YouTube. I'm gonna try that also. But I really don't want to do a lot. I really do not want to do a lot. I'm very firm on not wanting to overdo, you know. Not wanting to overdo, not wanting to pressurize myself, not wanting to be difficult on myself, because I have learned that I can do anything and everything, and I am very intelligently experienced in a whole lot of things that I am required to do in my business, but I really do not want to do a lot. Why? Because you are spoon feeding people, and when you spoon feed a baby, thank you for that. And the baby sometimes appreciates what Ribea Elise is giving. But what Ribea Elise is doing is she's spoon feeding the world on social media and she's gaining nothing yet about it. And it is sometimes abusive to Ribea Elise and to Kihara that's growing up. And now what the world is trying to do is they're sending films and videos and talks about Ribea Elise, the person that they don't know the person about. And then Kiara is growing up and baby is growing up. And then it's a whole story in the world that is abusive to my children. So I'm very much into that of listening to that education. I've given a lot. And someone else grabbed it from my social media pages and their own social media and they ran with it and they go and give it to someone else. And then they come and they stir the whole world with messages about Ribea Elise, the person. And then the whole world comes in and Kiara grows up and the world runs with stories about it. That abusiveness is in the world. I always say apartheid is one thing and it's not even anymore apartheid because we intermarry with white people and they were never racist. They were really never racist. And it's other problems in the world. But you reprimand even the racist attitude. Sometimes I said yesterday to someone, we reprimand the racism because we cannot not say it because there's really sometimes people that are really sometimes not just want to be like that. And we understand that they sometimes grow up and they're just gonna be that. But we tell people who now learns that this is gonna be the requirement for our children kids when they grow up in the world. And racism can sometimes be oppressive to them. Whether you are black and racist or whether you are white and racist, because in Ribea's life, the black woman was racist to Ribea Elise. The Mapuvina black Mbabani was racist to the Mbatani woman. And because of that, we learned that when we say racist, we're not necessarily people gonna listen to Ribea, they're gonna know Mitchell's plain explained, Ribea Elise explained what she's still meaning when she says racist. And I don't often want to use those terminologies other than on my leading this generation discussion. And where I educate thoroughly. But when the children grow up then you can't still have half of and the amazingness of a community that grew up together. And then Mitchell Splain needs to explain it. Mitchell Splain can't explain the Paul community where Ribea Elise grew up at. Mitchell Splain was quiet that day. It was very quiet. I mean, universe is very interesting with explaining something. And when I travel to Mitchell's Plain, and Mitchell's Plain community is quiet, and my university is Ribea, Mitchell's Plain. Ribea say, ooh, what does that even mean? It looks very nice, and the people come and dance, and they say, ooh, the boyfriend of Mitchell's Plain is looking very good. And then Ribea looks at him, and Ribea say, ooh, Baba, give me my drink, Mitchell's Plain. Then the other one comes and say, oh, no, Mitchell's Plain's boyfriend is actually very much gangster. And Ribea say, ay, Aniki, I'm glad I didn't have that one of Mitchell's Plain last week, because maybe he was a gangster. And then they come again to the bar, and then Mama Universe showed me the Mitchell's Plain boat, and Ribea looks at the boat, and Rubea's like, Mitchell's Plain, explain yourself. How can Mitchell's Plain explain our community? District 6 walls are being painted in color like the European walls, Italy and all of those cities. District 6 can't explain what happened in the European war. It is all about attitudes and reactions. Humbatanis and Humbabanis travel to Africa. They travel to South Africa. They travel to America. And then Ribea lives in this Malvina was born. And this Malvina is now realizing what happened in the argument with the Humbabanis and the Humbatanis, and Ribea Elise don't know. And Malvina comes to really know the whole time be about it on Ribea's pages. And Ribea's like, what are you arguing about? Why do you have that? And I have that in my cupboard. And why are you wearing that? Because that's New Orleans wallet. I'm talking about that. And why does it look like you saw my post that I did in 2022 in Auckland City? What is happening in this world? And then Ribea got angry, and then Ribea made a whole lot of social media videos to Paul community to say, this, y'all know the situation. Do not disrupt me. Do not send messages around me around the world, because I really don't know what y'all are busy with. And then they said they're all writing films and stuff. Then I said, but don't disrupt my day, because you all send a whole lot of information around the world. You're chasing a person, and the person's life can sometimes be in danger. The Bible says not to revelation season. I've mentioned yesterday, our babies grow up. You can't come and change our babies. So about movies and things into a revelation season. Bible saying then Jesus was crucified about it, because they say Jesus talks wrong and Jesus didn't say it right, and Jesus, you must say it so, because the Pharisees are old and they listen differently. And now generation goes through that same apartheid and in a different way, and they want to change Ribea like a Jesus. I always say, I'm not your baby Jesus. I didn't give birth to the Holy Spirit. And honestly, not Mama Mary, who gave birth to the Holy Spirit. My mama was a church sister. Yes, my name is Ribea the Rupias. But don't mess about it with my life about it, honestly, because you'll mess about it into Revelation season, the Bible say, into Judgment Day, into who's gonna own the car with the big wheels, God say, and who's gonna fly from this country to that country with the big fucking wings, God say. Sorry for saying that, but it's true. Who's gonna fly with the big wings? Who's gonna drive the wheels of God? God says big wheels. And all the churches are sitting in the meetings, and then they want to control Ribea Elise's life about that. And then it's a whole who flies from this country and who's going to stay in this country and who's going to stay in the next country. The Bible says into a judgment day, you all wanted to chase Ribea like a baby Jesus. Ribea's gonna punish you all on social media about it on that day. Bible saying that God is most owning all the wheels, not owning it because it's not really not China or Japan. But the Bible saying that the one who's most now got the cars and who's most now got the can fly from country to country, must now wanting to be God in the situation about the Rebea's lifestyle. The Bible saying that it's revelation for those people who want to interrupt Rebea's day about what they have and what they do not have. The Bible saying, and they make so many friends with so many eyes. And then all of their friends with so many eyes want to intimidate Ribea about it. The Bible says in that year when you want to intimidate Ribea, Elise, and God is gonna say, people with lots of eyes, with the glasses on, like a Malvina and Ribea storyline. And the Ribea storyline posted, Ribea had to block her out because he couldn't explain what he's doing and what he's trying to say. And then Ribea had to block her out and be firm about it and say, friend, are friends forever. But the Lord is Lord of all of these things, and don't come and interrupt my social media page. And on that day, the Bible says, all of those friends with lots of eyes that can see a whole lot of things in the world that Ribea don't know about. If they're gonna try and judge Ribea, then it's gonna be Judgment Day. So don't try yours, baby. Jesus' games around Ribea, Elise's life. Ribea knows about all of these games that y'all are trying to play. And when people try to play those games, pardon, when people try to play those games in your lives, be attentive to it. The whole world is playing those games sometimes, but not a whole lot of people knows about those games. And I found out about it now recently when I had to look around what is happening to me. And when I went through the church, and there was a church pastor, yes, a church, yes, church and prophetess. And then the Spirit of God told me it's not only spiritual, Ribea, it's things happening in this world. And you need to be very attentive to it because they really harm one another. They really crucify Jesus about it. And they chop women up about it. And then I left the church and I said, this crazy things. And the church people was treating me odd. And I said, so they planned against me. And then I left not my church in South Africa because they are really my church in South Africa. My church pastor in South Africa is an old pastor. You get old pastors who's very protective to our children, kids, and you get the young pastors who's really playing these games. And when I learned the games that they play, I left the church and I said, oh, not around my life, because I thought my mama's situation was natural causes. I thought my brother Richard, who was a pastor, situation was natural causes. So y'all maybe planned it, or y'all maybe give them poisonous medication or something. And that's what could have happened in this journey. And then I left the church and I said, I'm not going to be in church because I love my cup of tea in church. But no, thank you. Go to church. And the churches in New Zealand had tea mornings. Before you start the church, they give you a cup of tea. I say, no, thank you. Church is out, church is out. Where's my Jaru music of when I was young? Say, rather give me those to educate my children about. They can know the church education, yes, but the world is manipulating it. The world is manipulating humanity, is manipulating one another. And it's not so difficult for parliamentary leaders to manage the world so that it's not so aggressive to humanity. It's not difficult for parliamentary leaders to do that. And I really don't know why they don't want to manage the processes in such a way. I always say, look, there's baby rising babies awake now. I always say when the world is like that, and the when the world is like that, and the world is looking like that, and the prisoner needs to be explained why someone has sent him and paid him to go and do a criminal act against someone else, and he required the money because the implementations of the government functions was not for the baby, and it was only for certain people, and they didn't include the prisoner in it, and the prisoner was maybe the baby at that time, and they tried to now have Ribea Elise's baby be that, and Ribea Elise said, no, but that's not allowed. You can't come and claim against my baby for how many years? And then we said the story right, even though you almost don't want to employ us to manage those offices. So you all need to manage it in the world, right in the parliamentary house, so that when our children grow up, all of these aggressions and plans that you all have against our children, we speak up and we reprimand now, and everyone manage the process in a way now that is fine for everyone. And then what the parliamentary houses did is then they looking for the blame from this to this, and then the guys had to go into gangsterism because they were in poverty, and there was ways that could have been managed and processes that could have been managed, so that the guys was really not in gangsterism and really not doing all of those things, and the world didn't want to do that. And we had to argue the whole time about it. And then when people argue, then they want to send guys into war because this is how the world is and this is how we're going to leave the world about it. And then half of the world said, no, but that's not fine. You can't leave the world like that. Y'all aren't sitting there. We are here. Or y'all employ us so that we educate y'all how to manage these processes. But y'all don't go and sit in parliamentary houses and sit and y'all disrupt us and the young boys the whole time with women being chased around the world about it and other women having a good time and getting on a flight and owning a house and a car about it. That's must not fine. So these babies are born fresh and new. And when these fresh babies are born, you give them that is their birthright. I educate them page about very nicely. I'm not difficult on my about pages with educating and reprimanding our birthright. Our requirement to be fine is not for people to go and start war whatever they want to. It is that this is the structure of the world. That Putin didn't do that because he wanted to. Zelensky didn't do that because he wanted to. But the world leaders that manages all of these processes that has caused them to stand like that in this world, and that has caused the Russian and Ukrainian countries and Sudanian countries and Africa to be in argument about it. Those processes could have been managed properly, and it shouldn't have been abusive management processes. And some people want to force their way with all the abuses in the world. And we affirm with our social media pages that we're not going to allow all of that people forces their way and they force to be abused and they force to want to have this household fine and that household not fine. The world is for everyone and it's all about babies' nutrients and birthrights to be fine in the world. And if people want to argue about us, about our opinions, and about what we say, and then we do not argue and agree, but we educate with our businesses, and we affirm when we educate with our businesses on how countries can be managed fine and how all the other countries that still find themselves in war arguments and in abusive arguments and in all of the communication that goes around the world about it, that we educate and we give our opinion of what we can give our opinion about what is happening in the world in general. That is it for us this morning, everyone, and for what we wanted to say with our discussion today and with where we find ourselves at and with how baby is growing and how we're gonna have a nice and calm day and it's sunny and we're gonna sit in the sun now and enjoy the amazing sun morning further. Let's have our lunch together later. But other than that, have an amazing